in a kind of, you see this kind of oval shape.
Superimpose the clock on your face.
This is the what? Yeah, this.
Do it. Do it. Absolutely. Go live.
Yeah,
oh, you
so
are
we
live.
We are live. Yes. Don't worry. I'm not going to switch over to your camera. I'm going to let you get yourself sorted. Hello, everybody. Welcome along. We've got ourselves a couple of viewers already. Hello. Yeah, spread the word. Do let everyone know that we're now live. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do with my Twitters. Katrina has messaged us. I know that on the description for the video, we haven't mentioned Katrina Dennis's name. Like an hour out from us going live, I just went, hang on a second. This thing that's been organized around the falling of Universal FanCon, the FanCom live Twitch stream, we know one of the organizers. Shit. Type. Katrina, can you come and join us? So we start things off at the top of the hour. I do an introduction. No. I went, oh, okay. But tell you what, the panel will have started by then. Can I come on at 1:15? Yes, please. Yeah, we're going to be joined by Katrina Dennis soon. We're also going to be talking about ThamesCon, about MCon Worcester, two small events that have taken place recently, which I attended. We're going to be talking about that in correlation to other small events, not just here in the UK, but across the globe, and about the fact that every weekend there is an event to go to. There are only so many weekends. There are only so many guests. There are only so many people you can go and see and book in for these things. At the end of the day, it was hit. And
you're doing the entire show before the show even starts.
No, I'm not. I'm just explaining what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be shut up. We're going to be talking about Universal FanCon. We're going to be talking about Avengers: Infinity War. We're going to be getting into all of that. But if there's anything that you want us to talk about, jump on the Q&A. And please do let us know if there's any subjects, topics that you want us to get into. If you are going to talk about Infinity War, we want it to stay spoiler-free in the Q&A as well. So either don't talk about it, Thanos demands your silence, or what we want to see your best fake spoiler for Avengers. Okay. We want to. That's okay. So we're wanting kind of. I mean, my personal favorite was the Squirrel Girl cameo at the end was a bit much. I thought that was a good one. I thought that was rather funny.
I'm going to kind of suggest that maybe we go with some light spoilers, unless there's somebody who, when we get to that segment, simply because a lot of people have already seen it, and we should take a poll to find out.
Okay.
I'm saying, because a lot of people have already seen it. So anyway, you guys can voice in the chat, and we'll find out.
You know what? I don't know, because I've been looking at the news about the box office. I don't think it's done as well as people. Anyway, yes, I think it's done rather well, and yes, maybe a large amount of people went to see.
People are on their second screenings now at this point.
This is true. I mean, I've got mine scheduled for next week. So yeah. For example, yeah, we've got Leanne D. Please don't make me laugh too hard. I fractured 2 ribs on Thursday. Oh. I've just had that message sent to me direct as well. Ruby, all the very best to you. Get better soon. How on earth did you do that? Good grief. I hope you recover quickly. And yeah, all the best from all of us to all of you.
Maybe we don't want to know how she did that.
Okay, fair enough. You think your mind went in a strange place there. Fair enough. let that slide. Anyway, welcome along to Talkin Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. I've got a cup of tea. This is rather rare for me that I actually have a cup of tea to hand. It's needed though, because it's been a very busy fortnight. It's been a busy weekend. It's been quite a hectic thing, starting of course with the midnight screening of Avengers Infinity War for myself on the Wednesday night, Thursday morning. We'll get into that as we go, which we are going to talk about with my guests. We've got my regular partner in crime, Alyssa Franks from the Friends of Comic-Con Forum. Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I am recovering from being in California. It was a great trip. San Diego Comic Fest is just getting better and better in my remembrance while I'm remembering it. I still have got to put my article together with regards to that and Silicon Valley Comic-Con. So I'm a little in the behind stage. And as people can see, I am busy packing up. So I've got a lot on my plate, but I am happy to be joining everybody for my weekly therapy session, talking about spring cons and, oh my God, Infinity Wars and everything else that's happening.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, when did you get to see the film?
I got to see it on Friday. I had to work Saturday. But I knew that we were going to be talking about it today and made a point of it. Guys, I am so far behind in everything. It is pitiful. I am just now starting to catch up on Walking Dead season finale. Okay. So when I say, spoiler free, I'm like, everything anybody talks about these days is a spoiler for me because I haven't seen anything. Except for Infinity Wars.
Fair enough. Okay, well, just to let you know, I'm trying to think what we can spoil for her, Mark. Any ideas? Let's see what we can just really. Let's just go down every. Let's go down every single fandom. So, Agents of Shield. The Earth gets blown up, and Coulson dies, and they all die, and. Yeah,
and
there's
everybody dies, and all of the Walking Dead cast dies, and
and the Agents of Shield have been replaced by the cast of Hollyoaks here in the UK. So yeah,
Sir Lister of Smeg says says Super Cat Chick.
Yeah. Feel better soon. Anyway, right, and we're also joined by Mark Searby, who's joining us. Hello, long time no see. How are you keeping?
Yes, I'm good. I am very good, thank you. Yes.
When did you get to see Infinity War? And more appropriately, as pointed out by Into the Blue Mister, when has your bum recovered? It's a long film.
There's a lot of film. There's a lot of film there. A lot of film. I saw it Tuesday night, and when we talk about it in a bit, I will talk about what happened Tuesday night, even before the film started, because there were some things that were very interesting at the press screening that happened. So I will tell you about those later.
Fantastic. Excellent stuff. Once again, we've got plenty of stuff to talk about, and it's all about your comments. So please do jump in on the Q&A. And of course, if there's anything you want us to add to it, to what we want to talk about today, do let us know. But we are going to dive in with, there's not so much in the way of San Diego Comic-Con news. Obviously, we've got the aftermath of parking, which took place at the beginning of the week. What's been the general the state of play when it comes to parking, Alyssa? I mean, have you been able to check in with the forum and see if there's been anything? No,
so we're going to completely disregard the script, huh?
No, I'm firing it up now. This is the thing, because I was going to dive into the recaps, but
no, I have parking towards the end of
sorry. Okay, do apologize.
No, that's fine. We'll go to parking first. San Diego Comic-Con parking went down relatively without a hitch. Of course, the major problem that people found this time round was the addition of the requirement to add the credit card to it. So I think what that seemed to have done was to limit the number of people who applied for it. So there were less submissions. Therefore, there were, but it evened out because everybody had less submissions across the board. We seem to have gotten about the same kind of proportion of parking passes this time, even with the credit card requirement that we had done prior to it. So in general, it seemed to go smoothly without a hitch. They released the information on Tuesday versus last year when they released it on Wednesday. There was a hitch last year. Group 1 goes live tomorrow. I believe it's at 9 a.m. Pacific time, so noon Eastern time, and I'm guessing 5 p.m. on UK time. However, I don't think UK people are driving in San Diego for some strange reason.
Well, it happens. I mean, there are one or two that will obviously want to try and get a bit closer for with their parking. Either they're staying a little bit further afield, or they're visiting other parts of the US as part of their vacation and then driving into San Diego. But yeah, I mean, for the vast majority of when people are doing that, they're parking at their hotel. So.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I will say is that the addition of the credit card not being able to be, the credit card number not being able to be deleted from people's ACE parking account is limiting the comfort level in being able to transfer passes, transfer winning lotteries, submissions. So consequently, I think people are transferring it amongst friends more than they are transferring it in the wild.
Fair enough.
That's,
that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, from all I can gather from what I observed, it was your typical extremely quick sale. Everything was done and dusted very, very quickly. But like you say, very little in terms of technical hiccups. Which I'm certain ACE are still more than happy with. I guarantee they still look back at the car sale of 4 years ago with absolute horror. So I think they're just glad with the way it was all. It's all been changed and evened out. Okay, that's fine.
Also, I mean, at some point, we've gotten some rough preliminaries on Hotel Apocalypse.
Okay.
And I wanted to kind of, just go over what we've been finding a little bit with folks. This is the precursor to the article that Mark is going to be developing and putting together later on in a week or two. Primarily, things seem to have gone faster this year. So what we noticed with all of the submissions that we got was that if you were, the cutoff time between Group 1 and Group 2 was at around 90 seconds this year as compared to about 2 minutes last year. So things went a lot faster. Their servers were probably cranked up a bit more. They had more expectation on what to take. Fewer top hotels were available in round 2 was another thing that we found. So last year that we got, a bunch of people got stuff who submitted early in Group 2, but that didn't seem to be the case this year. The total sales seem to have gone longer. A likely explanation for this was that there might be more participation. I'm not really sure why, but it's the overall length of the sale seemed to take more time. Those were just kind of some rough things that we've noticed with the bigger, the bigger picture. There's a couple of ongoing criticisms. Did you guys notice anything before I get into some suggestions?
Not so much. I mean, I think people were just really concerned about just the way that it was turned random and the way that the selections were made this year. It seemed, it seemed that there's obviously people that didn't get the rooms that they wanted have been making the most amount of noise as per usual. But I think it's just been a case of. Yeah, I think that there's been questions about how the actual behind-the-scenes mechanics of the whole thing
absolutely, absolutely, and that goes to our first point is understanding the underlying process more. I think that if we understand it more, then there'll be less whining, if I could use that term.
Not at all.
That's the first thing. And the second thing is a summary email. And a lot of people have been talking about this. A summary email or a summary page that the user sees after they submit their request, just so that people know that they got, that they selected the right hotels. Because, while they say it's based on when you get access, there is still that pressure. Did I get my credit card information right? Did I get and I know the credit card information was not in there, but, did I get all of these little bells and whistles right? Like, do I want to be put on a wait list? The Pendry Hotel. The Pendry was a real question.
I'm looking at Mark's smiling face. Anything you want to jump in on that, sir?
Who got the Pendray? Seriously, who got the Pendray? Who got it? Who got it? Nobody got this. Nobody got this hotel. And people are saying to me, it's probably people who are not on social media. Yeah, but somebody knows these people. Somebody is on social media who knows these people who got the Pendray. Who got the Pendray? Nobody got the Pendray. It's a lying hotel.
So it's a waste. It's a waste of a #1 spot.
Exactly, Alyssa. I completely agree. And I didn't even put it on my list, but at the same time, the fact that nobody got it, and yet people put it on there. And if you might be able to tell me a bit more about this, Alyssa, but wasn't there like 4 different choices for rooms as well there or something? I think so.
I'm not. I don't remember.
Yeah. So I mean, it's Here's a new hotel. It's in the list, but no.
I still think there was like maybe 2 rooms per option, because the Pendry are looking at how much they're actually charging per room and thinking, we want that money, because it's not a cheap hotel. Isn't it like one of the most expensive hotels in San Diego at the moment? It's just generally, it's just an extortionate hotel.
In which case, that's fine.
Extortionate hotel.
If it's expensive, it's fine. It's no problem. But at the same time, if they are just doing that, take it off the list.
Yeah.
There is, as Alyssa said, people have used that as their #1 pick. And
Mark
if you're...
Michael P. is saying that there were 4 choices at the Pendry.
There we go. 4.
Yeah, Super Cat Check is totally agreed with you, Mark. Just preach.
Yeah. and Sir Lister of Smeg says, yes, there were 4 choices at the Pendry because there were a total of 4 rooms.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. That might be bang on the money, to be honest.
Insane. Absolutely insane. Okay. I know that we're going to be joined by Katrina relatively soon, so I think we'll kind of wrap this section up. But
sure.
I think generally it's just turned into it's back down to the question of the behind the scenes stuff again, isn't it? It's just how the mechanics work. But
and I hesitate to steal Mark's thunder here, but for the love of God, please give the customer service agents a script, a consistent script of things to apply to people. For the love of God, it's not that difficult.
Yes, I think that's another thing that came out of a lot of chats, that when people were talking to them, the amount of different answers. But then again, that's almost like the standard operating procedure for that particular company. It's just, is it different shifts? If it different managers? Who knows? But yeah, a consistent story would be great. But anyway, at least they kind of kept off social media. They've learned their lesson by keeping off social media. There's a difference between bad communication and no communication, and they're kind of learning maybe just no communication. It's just easier, which has made the fake on peak Twitter so much more funnier. It's so much better. I love that account so much.
No communication is better than bad communication. I think we all, everybody needs to learn that. That's a lesson that everybody learns when they go through puberty.
Oh man, terrible.
Just stop talking.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do. They're like I say, they I think their Twitter, I think it bleeped. I mean, I put it on notifications. It bleeped twice over the course of the last 2 weeks. Anyway.
Okay, so Universal FanCon.
Right, we talked about this last week. This is an event that was organized, crowd-funded, actually, and has been attracting a lot of top-flight guests, attendees and guests coming out of quite a distance to support this new event, which, while being a general Comic-Con, is also its remit was designed to support minority attendees and guests, so very much on the African American, LGBTQ, minorities. It was put together by a number of fandoms that support the minorities, but it also was just everybody involved as well. I mean, Greg Pak, if you follow his Twitter, he has just been incredibly vocal about not only Universal FanCon, but also what has happened in the aftermath. We talked about it last week in that about exactly 7 days before the event was going to happen, they announced on their social media, they announced first to their backers that they had cancelled the event, not telling attendees or telling any just general ticket buyers, only the backers. And then it kind of all snowballed out of their control. That the event had been pulled. By all accounts, it was a case of the hotel was trying to get in communication with the organizers about the event insurance. And after 3 weeks of trying to get in contact with them, decided that, well, if they're not going to talk, then obviously we're just going to pull the plug. Hotel pulls the plug, event folds. That's pretty much the story as I'm understanding it. We read out the timeline last week, but that left 7 days before the event was happening. People were flying in. They booked hotels. They booked trains and flights to get to Baltimore. At which point, people are just going, what on earth are we going to do? And it started from, on the first day, a bunch of people, including myself, just shouting out on social media for those artists and creators that were losing out a lot of money, to just basically shout out their Patreon accounts to help kind of recompense any kind of loss of funding. Then it turned into a let's just meet up in a space somewhere in Baltimore, into a virtual panel con, which is going to be run on Twitch, which is, like I say, it's 20 minutes in now, into an event called, I don't know how this is correctly pronounced, Comic-Con. I'm just going to run at that. Why Comic-Con? Basically, Wisconsin Comic-Con. It's a virtual space that's been taken up in I think a floor of a building somewhere, where they've just showed up and put on a convention in 6 days. This is staggering. I told this story to Caroline on the way here as we were explaining what we were going to be talking about today. And it really was a case of, she felt it was a game changer, because this is really is a community coming together to create an event. This is full blown. We've got a barn, we've got some gingham, let's put on a show. It's just turned into something truly remarkable. I'm hoping that Katrina's going to join us. Like I say, she's been involved in the putting on of the Twitch. Basically, everybody that's been involved, the panels which were going to be put on at Universal FanCon, they've come together to basically put on a virtual presentation of the panels, which I think is pretty impressive. What's been everyone's take on this? I mean, we'll go to Mark first. I mean, just your thoughts on just a con being created in 6 days.
I think what you've got to remember in terms of a con being created in 6 days is the fact that it's like a phoenix from the flames, is that it has come out of something, something that was burning very, very quickly. So there are people there already. This is the thing. I don't know if you would get people just going, right, next Saturday we're going to do a con. I think it's the fact that there were already people going to be there. They were already of that mindset, right? This is what's happening. And then as soon as somebody turned around and said, right, we're going to do a con, everybody went, well, we're already there. Great, fantastic, count us in. So while you're saying it's a game changer, I think it's more to do with the fact that people have been pushed out because obviously of the cancellation of it, and you know, have been left in limbo. So they've banded together. This is the thing, you know, this is what nerd fandom is about, is that at low points people band together and come together and create something interesting and something unique. So, you know, I'm all for it. I think it's a fantastic piece of work. I really do. Everybody involved in that should be very, very proud of what they have done in 6 days. And the people who were putting on Universal FanCon should be looking at that and thinking, yeah, we totally fucked up here.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I mean, I know the thing is, what I've been very interested to see on social media is not so much I mean, certainly in that first 24 hours, and that, well, the first 48 hours, there was a lot of anger, and there still is, so like on the edges. But I'd say over the last 7 days, it's been the positivity that's kind of really made this stand out. The fact that it has been people passing down the ladder to those that have been put out financially, that did kind of put so much money into this that they would have been not broken, but certainly taken a massive hit to their own livelihoods, and that they've just been brought up by people who have been wanting to come together to create this. I think it's just been so inspiring. I think that's, for myself, the big thing.
One bit of relevant information with regards to this is Boston Comic-Con, when a few years ago, and I want to say it was in 13 or maybe 14, they had the marathon bombing the day before the convention started, and Boston was shut down. They kept trying to go ahead with it. The convention was a couple of blocks from the end of the Boston Marathon. The organizers kept trying to go ahead with it. I believe Friday night, they caught the person who did the bombing. And Saturday, I believe Saturday during the day, one of the other local comic book shops had all of the people in, because everybody had already flown in. You know, anybody who had non-refundable, you know, or anything, they went anyway, because they didn't actually officially cancel a con till like the day before. So there were a lot of creatives still there. And they had a big event at one of the local comic book shops. So it's not, as Mark said, this is not unprecedented for people to band together in this geek tribe that we have. It doesn't surprise me. But hats off and to the people who were able to organize this, number one. And number two, let's hope that something gets put in place so that people can't crowdfund and waste our money. I think that's that was one of the points that was brought up at San Diego Comic Fest last year by Alternative Aliens. I think that was their name. There was one of the panels, is that you need to have, if you're going to crowdfund, you need to have the majority of your product in place before you ask people for money. Yeah. You can't ask people for money at the get-go and then never deliver. That's not cool. No. That's just, you know, so.
Well, just very quickly, this is what's currently happening. Katrina says she's going to hopefully join us in a couple of minutes' time. So this is INDG. I need Div Gims, whoever they may be. I'm not entirely sure who they are. There we are. Basically, it's it looks like a non-profit charity seeking to better diversify all aspects of gaming. They're actually the ones that are hosting on Twitch, and this is what's happening at the moment. It's a virtual panel that's taking place, and it's one of a number of the virtual panels that's going to be taking place throughout the course of the day. These are the panels that would have been held at Universal FanCon over the course of the weekend, which I think is just stunning. People are actually asking how this was being organized, because I think we've got Andrew Dickinson asking if it was it yesterday or two separate events. The pop-up convention, WI Comic-Con, actually took place yesterday. Greg Pak attended. Like I say, I mean, that guy is an artist that he could have quite easily just stayed at home. But no, he flew into the area and basically took part and was thrilled to see people flying into Baltimore to take part in this. So that took place yesterday, but the Twitch stream is happening today. Andrew Dickinson, we had to cancel our game show in the early 1990s before social media, so it was a tad messy. I can only imagine how that was. Good grief. Let's have a look. So, Lister of Smeg. Knowledgeable employees putting together with Comic-Con has to be an oxymoron due to the info being typed up by regular morons. Harsh. But I think that's vaguely fair. Let's have a look at this. Andrew Dickinson. I'm trying to set up an event at the arena in Leeds. Will not have any crowdfunding at all. I'd like to see how you're going to pull that one off. So best of luck with that. But
we have a moderator here for you that hosts this show if you need anybody.
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, I'll dive into that. I'll dive into that in a bit. But there we go.
I'm really busy. I'm sorry. I'm really busy. I can't do it.
Thankfully, I am always Mark Searby's fat substitute. So basically what I do is I put on a spiky wig and just do what I can. Yes. Al Pacino.
No, we're not going to segue into I Am Groot. We're not there yet.
Fair enough. Okay. But yeah, we'll wait for we won't wait for Katrina to join us. We'll kind of dive into another one of the topics on our list if possible. But Katrina hopefully is going to join us pretty soon for that. I think her guest has just been introduced on the Twitch stream, so hopefully she'll join us pretty soon. Right. We'll dive into this then, because we can cover relatively quickly. We kind of touched on it last week. I think Marvel have announced that they will not be joining us at San Diego Comic-Con in Hall H. Basically, there was an interview that was taking place at the world premiere. Someone managed to collar Kevin Feige, basically saying that, the quote is, "We're going to do some presents, and there will be Marvel representing at Comic-Con. But for example, there will be 10th anniversary materials and a 10th anniversary panel. However, they are not doing Hall H this year." At which point, nerd social media, wailing of teeth and gnashing of brows and crying of tears. At which point, if you then just kind of break it down about what there is coming up, there isn't anything they can actually bring. Which is going to be it would have been an incredibly slight panel anyway. There's only so many times you can show that very tasty 3.5 minute 10 years of Marvel Studios video. Mark, I mean, what's been your take on this? I mean, obviously you've got 2 films coming up. You've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, and you've got Captain Marvel, both of them some distance away.
Also, well, we've got to remember that Ant-Man and the Wasp will already have been released in the US by the time that San Diego Comic-Con comes around. So you can sort of scratch that off. Captain Marvel obviously is still filming, but I imagine that they probably don't want to give anything away, to be honest with you. And do you know what? It doesn't surprise me when it all of a sudden popped up. I was thinking, okay, yeah, I can understand that. What would have been good, because obviously it's 10 years this year of Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's probably a look back, something like that, like here's some outtakes from so-and-so or something you didn't see or something. But then also what you've then got to do is you've got to ask all of your contracted players who you know, some of them have finished now. That's the thing. Some of them are finished. You've got to ask them to come back one more time. Some of them might have different projects. Some of them might be working, something like that. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And then you've got to put them into a hotel. You've got to pay them, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're not effectively promoting anything as such. They're there to talk about something that happened maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And, you know, I'm sure that's fun for some people, but for others, it is just a job and they move on. That's it. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm in sort of two minds in that they should have had something because, you know, certainly with it being 10 years and Marvel Cinematic Universe has changed the way that superhero movies are now seen in cinemas and basically around the world, you would have thought they'd do something. And I know they've said they'll do something, but no Hall H panel. Interesting.
It does kind of leave the field open. I mean, Andy Bayback is saying that he's excited that Venom will be there at Comic-Con. I mean, it does open things up for the other Marvel or subcontracted players. And indeed, there's plenty of time between now and then. Let's say it 3 times. Fantastic Four, Fantastic Four, Fantastic Four. No, thank goodness they didn't just sort of like appear behind me. So yeah, there's that could possibly happen. You've also got the X-Men. When's the X-Men movie come out? Because that's currently.
They've moved it back to next year, haven't they?
Yeah. So you've got.
I'm not sure.
Says on the Q&A, we're waiting for the Fox deal to be signed off, and then they can announce the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Deadpool versus Avengers in 2022.
Yes, yeah, you do have to go down Andrew Dickinson's quotes and then see the smiley face and realize, that's the rug.
I know. I'm just like
being pulled out from underneath. Andy Bayback is saying Dark Phoenix is next March or April. So yeah, I mean that'll be done and dusted. So who knows?
I personally am glad that there's no Marvel, a big Marvel panel this year. I am tired of the let's parade everybody out on stage, and you know, we just see all of these actors coming out on stage and leaving. There's nothing really that comes out. Yes, you get a little, you know, you get to see the clip before everybody else does, but it's pretty much the same stuff. And I don't know.
So basically, this is an opportunity now for a studio to do something new.
Right, yep. Exactly. I mean, I think, you know, at least, I mean, while Warner Brothers doesn't do a lot new, they, you know, a lot of new stuff that's coming on, at least they do a good panel. I mean, when those curtains open up, it's like, you know, but I don't get that with the Marvel panel. You know, but you know, I also have this Oscar Wilde quote running through my mind, which is a fine actor, but the person is a fine actor, but not a lot going on inside that skull of his. Actors don't need to be smart. In fact, an empty vessel is the best thing. So I am in general, I'm not impressed with actors. So,
I think you're saying the wrong actors, though, Alyssa. I think you're missing some of the good ones.
Oh, Al Pacino obviously is the exception. Absolutely.
Well, you know, I mean, not to sidetrack the story here at all, but obviously in the US at the moment, he is making his way around the US with the Oscar Wilde documentary that he made, Wild Salome.
That's a very interesting thing. It's a nice wrap around with regards to that. So to bring us back to Marvel, I'm glad that we're not having a Marvel panel this year. I think is, and I have to agree with Andy when he says that is he the only one that is, I think, where did I see this? Am I the only one who isn't devastated about Marvel not coming to Hall H? No. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, because I'm not going to be doing Hall H this year. I'm determined. I'm sticking with it. Bloody sticking with it.
We've said this for 3 years. I think the two of us.
I know. I've got the spine of jelly. I swear to God. Anyway, who knows? Well,
hi, Gabby.
yeah. So let's dive into a couple of comments because it's been a while. Let's have a quick look through our Q&A because it's all about you, guys. Well, let's have a look. Andrew Dickinson, it might make Hull H doable this time. I think that's incredibly optimistic of you, sir. Congratulations. It's never going to be doable, certainly on a Saturday. It's just one of those things because you're going to always have WB. You're going to have someone. Saturday's just a nightmare, whatever happens. So Lister of Smeg, they should do some bloopers and creative shorts, like a short of nothing else, but all of the Stan Lee cameos cut together would be interesting. Or what if Loki got Thor's hammer? Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, sure. That could be done at a separate panel for the first 10 years of Marvel, at which point you could just have Kevin come out for an hour and just I'd go to that. I'd go to it, just Kevin for an hour. That'd be cool. Michael P saying Game of Thrones. That's your Sunday. So yeah, Katrina apparently is struggling to join us, which is a bit awkward. I've invited on numerous things, so I'm trying my best. I don't know if you guys want to just very quickly talk about something.
Yeah, while you're on it, while you're working with Katrina, we've got a couple of little things. Mark introduced me to a show by the director, the same director as Train to Busan, which was great critical acclaim and loved by a lot of people. This new movie I didn't know was coming up. Psychokinesis. Do you know when this is airing, Mark?
It's out now. It was globally released on Netflix on Friday.
Ah, okay, globally. Okay. I wonder why I missed that one I think we missed that one on our last. Maybe I'll go back and take a look at that. Can you tell us anything about it?
Yes, it's a superhero film. So, it's the perfect week to release it, I guess. Yes, it's about a father who develops super strength. I guess you could see that. Well, yeah, kinetic mutations through water that he drinks. He's estranged from his daughter. However, he tries to get back with her. I'm not going to say too much more. If you saw Train to Busan, which obviously Alyssa was saying about, an amazing zombie film, probably one of the best zombie films of the past 10 years. This is very different. This is very funny, very humorous, very light. It's got a very family touch to it as well, about the breakdown in relationships. And I've got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was slightly mad, slightly bonkers. The CGI was a little bit B-movie-esque, but it played into it perfectly as well. But I don't understand why this has not been promoted more. Alyssa was saying there that she hadn't seen it. I have to say I wasn't aware that it had come up until yesterday when I noticed somebody had mentioned it. And I was like, oh, fantastic. This is the guy who did Train to Busan. This is only his second live action film as well. He's normally known for anime films as well. So this is one of those films that has snuck under the radar. So if you have Netflix, it is well worth checking out. As I said, it's very fun. There's a lot of things going on it. And there's a lot of talk about government in there as well and how the little man is being beaten down. So very serious as well. But thoroughly enjoyed this film. Really, really good. I just wish they promoted it more so we knew about it.
Yeah, I was surprised we didn't catch it. It didn't come on the sources that I check for next week in television at all, and that blows me away. Something is so weird about how they're choosing which films to promote and which films not to promote these days, and I'm wondering if Psychokinesis isn't available in the States, but I was able to get onto the Netflix site today. And see previews for it, but I wasn't able to actually watch it, click through to it. But maybe that was because I wasn't signed in. So let us know if anybody does watch it. Let us know next week if you're able to Actually, in the States, you're able to actually watch it. Obviously, Mark, you were able to in the UK. Yep. And so, but it's right up there on my list of much watch lists. But if you look at my next week in television, you will also notice that my DVR, which is like 6 terabytes big, is absolutely full of stuff that I need to watch. Handmaid's Tale is right up there, which is pretty big up on the thing. On my list of things that I must watch, just because it's so spectacular. I've been hearing mixed reports from that. Have you seen that one yet?
We don't get it yet. We don't get it for another couple of weeks.
Okay.
This has been sort of an ongoing thing that we have here in the UK, is that we seem to be about 2 weeks behind yourselves in getting certain things. So like Legion is 2 weeks behind. Looks like this is going to be the norm now. I think possibly because of maybe in the US, you have a break for a week further down the schedule, whereas obviously that gives us time to catch up as well. But yeah, we seem to be a week or two behind for most things, not all things.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on Legion being 2 weeks behind. Don't. Or should I say 2 weeks behind for anybody else? Anyway, moving on.
We have a choice here. We can go into Free Comic Book Day and Next Week in TV, or we can go into Avengers Infinity War.
Well,
which one do you want?
Well, I'm going to add the third one, which is part of the top section. We'll very quickly cover this, which is reviews of the 2 small events that I went to, and also kind of talk about any other small events, because I equate this to the event that you went to last week, Alyssa. Because when we were watching your walk around of San Diego Comic Fest, it wasn't looking too busy. It was looking comfortable. It wasn't rammed. It was just nice. But would you say that the numbers were up? Would you say that the footfall was stronger?
I wasn't there the previous week, but my overall feeling of it was that the footfall was up. However, the hotel really kind of mucked with the organizers' abilities,
right,
to create a good convention, because they raised their rent by 3 or 4 times for the same space.
Fair enough.
For a weekend in April. Come on.
Yeah.
I
think the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I went to 2 events over the last couple of weeks. First, I went to ICE in Margate, which is the International Comics Expo. This is an event that's organized by the guys that put on the ICE event in Birmingham. That's their flagship event. It's the thing that they organize. The ICE Margate event was actually requested by Venue, asking the guys to put on this event. Pulled down some pretty big talent from London. Kieran Gillen. They got some pretty good names to show up. A couple of international guests as well. And in this rather nice event space in Margate, the Margate Winter Gardens, which is slightly different in Margate nowadays. Whereas before, when the town was in its heyday, all the hotels were at the top end of the town where the Winter Gardens are. So lots of people stayed there and then kind of worked their way down into town. Now they've got the hotels down more into the bottom end of town, which means there was no passing trade to go into the Winter Gardens. So the footfall was incredibly slight. This weekend, I've been to ThamesCon. It was a first event that an organizer put on. This is somebody who has done crewing for a number of events for MCon, which I also attend. But Zanab put on ThamesCon at the a venue in just outside of Oxford. Got some incredible guests for certainly for the slightly more niche fandoms here in the UK. You had Dangerous Bob, who is was an international guest. He was a wrangler of props for films like Harry and the Hendersons, Scarface, and Back to the Future. He was one of the guys that put together the DeLorean, and it was a very fascinating guy to talk to. You had a couple of great cast members from Red Dwarf. You had some great cast members from Game of Thrones. You had the first time a seminal British children's telly program, which was Maid Marian and Her Merry Men. You had it was the first time you had the cast of them showing up in the room for the first time in 30 years, including Sir Tony Robinson, the guy behind Baldrick from Blackadder, Time Team here in the UK, and also a whole bunch of shows. A comedy legend, and nobody really showed up. And it kind of it's really difficult to kind of talk about this because we're talking about events happening every week now, and there's only so many of these that you can go to in a year, not only as an attendee but also as a special guest as well. And something's got to give, and it's a shame that these two smaller events suffered from an overexposure of events in the Comic-Con calendar. Is it getting that way in the States, yes. Alyssa? Or yeah. There you go. That was rather quick.
Well, because you know, I understand the question, so I might as well answer quickly.
Go for it.
I remember probably in 11 and 12 when it was hard to find a con in April. I needed a spring con, and I commented to a lot of my friends is I need something to go to get my systems in place, my backpack together and all of that. And this year there are so many things that are happening in March, let alone in April. I mean, you have to pick and choose in March and April and May the same way you have to pick and choose in June, July, and August. So it really has become the only down months seem to be November, December, January, and February, I think, at this point. Which, you know, I mean,
it's like Andrew Dickinson is pointing out, it's not even just the small events with WonderCon and C2E2 landing on the same weekend next year.
I did not realize that.
Ah, there you go. Okay, you really have been out of the loop, haven't you?
I am dealing with a lot of in real life stuff, guys. You know, a lot of you know. I challenge anybody to pack up a place they've lived in for 20 years. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Into the Blue Mister is saying he's got to love a smaller Comic-Con. Swansea Comic and Gaming Con is with us next weekend with Simon Bisley and Dylan Teague. Looking forward to it. At which point I then turned around and said, is that happening next weekend? And he said, yep, it's Saturday the 5th of May. Saturday and Sunday next weekend is Portsmouth Comic-Con. That's not that far from Swansea. It's down south. That's gonna take up a lot of talent pool down there.
Free comic book day.
And you've got free comic book day, and you've got MCon, which is what I'm going to be attending in Nottingham.
That's too. I mean, that's oversaturation.
I'm missing free comic book day, and that's good. That's kicking me in the teeth. I'm not happy. Yeah, not happy.
Exactly.
But the good news is I'm going to send Mark out. He's going to go around all the comic book shops. He's going to get all my comics.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'll be there.
or shall we just send Sam?
She's not here to defend herself, so I'm not saying anything there. Don't get me in trouble.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, I mean the quick reviews that I wanted to put out. These were great events. The guests were engaging. I'm going to be posting up a number of the panels that I recorded. Tony Robinson was brilliant. He'd kind of done his stand-up thing when he did a little bit of a showcase thing with the Maid Marian people. So I had a dedicated Q&A, which kind of talked very seriously about comedy, and it was an interesting talk. It was good. So these people, it's a shame that these guests are coming to these events, and they're interesting guests, and the audience is getting thinned out. It's just a shame. That's the thing that's kind of getting me, that they're coming to these events, they're booked for them. Yeah, it's just a shame.
how is Katrina doing? Is she able to join us?
Katrina will not be joining us today. Hopefully she'll be joining us next week with a little bit of an aftermath, which would be good. It'd be good to talk about the whole thing, wonderful. About how it all played out. So there we go.
So Avengers. So we were originally, just so everybody knows, I'm getting back on the script. Originally were going to talk about Hall H, which would naturally lead its way into the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
before the script got all jumbled and thrown up in the air, as it normally does. So like everybody else, I walked out of there going, what? What? Just I don't have a lot of deep thoughts about it because I was not able to take notes. I forgot my pen. I was bad movie reporter here.
You don't have to take a pen and pad in. I think you're fine. Do you?
Yes, no, I do. I need to remember things. I've got a crappy memory because of all the stuff I did younger. Regardless, moving on, I have to say that when towards the end of it, when the devastating stuff happened, I was not devastated because as you can't do that to a franchise. It has to be, you have to have a way of rolling it back. You can't do that. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say there.
I think we should
know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we should have started this section by saying spoiler free with some mild spoilers. So
I told everybody that way back when.
Fair enough. Okay, there we go. This is the and spoilers. There we go. Right, fair enough. I mean, what was okay? I totally understand that. If anything, I think it's a testament to the Russo brothers that they still made you care. Yes, obviously we are talking about a storyline which very much follows the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Gauntlet comic books. If you've read the comics, then that is going to be a bit of a spoiler for you. So there is a bit of that. But it says a lot about the Russo brothers. It says a lot about Jim Starlin, that he made you care about the storyline, that when it did happen, or the big things did happen, you still were emotionally wrecked. And I am liking on social media that people, this is a film that has traumatized a large portion of the audience.
I mean, I think Joss Whedon said it best years ago, and I forget which commentary this was on, but everybody is their own hero. So even, and I think he was speaking of Jane in Firefly, but everybody thinks that they are the hero of the story. And that's just the nature of human existence. Everybody has a good motivation, has a motivation for doing what they're doing, and they think that motivation is worthwhile and a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing for them. Maybe it's a good thing for the world. Who knows? Define good. But the point being is that the Fergie that it was followed through in a logical. The script was good. It made the characterizations made sense. They were true to themselves. There were no token roles. There were no, and Mark could agree. Mark, feel free to jump in here if you think I'm wrong, but or right.
I'm just letting you carry on.
No, I mean, I think I'm going to bring Mark in on this one, if anything, because I'd like to ask him about what he felt about the balance between various elements, the humor and the serious elements, because at the end of the day, we're now talking about a film which has to bring in what Thor now is and what the Guardians of the Galaxy have been, and what you have to deal with in terms of the seriousness of the story, in terms of Thanos and all of that. Did you feel that those bringing together of the two tones worked? Did you feel that the bringing of the Earth and the cosmic elements worked?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they balanced it very nicely. My concern was that it was going to be basically a Royal Rumble of Marvel characters all in one film, all in one sequence. And what they very nicely did was they actually teamed little people up. You know, just here's three
Side
people
adventures.
together. Yeah, kind of. And, you know, it worked very nicely when they put Tony Stark and Star-Lord together, because they are opposites, effectively, but at the same time, they're kind of not. They're kind of sarcastic side of things. So I was really impressed with how they dealt with that. And it didn't feel like you were being overwhelmed with a certain person's story rather than somebody else who was just, you know, a little bit of a bit part player or something. I thought it worked very well. And I thought, you know, you constantly had Thanos in it all the way through. I mean, I said this on my review on the radio, that it is Thanos's film. It's nobody else's film. It's his film all the way through. And he genuinely feels like
stunning. That performance
exactly
was stunning.
And it genuinely feels like he's a proper villain. You know, I've been very critical of Marvel's villains in that they don't have good villains at all. You know, they don't have the Joker. You know, you talk about villains and instantly people talk about the Joker. DC have great villains. Marvel doesn't particularly have very good villains, but Thanos actually is a fantastic villain in this. You know, you genuinely feel that he will kill anybody at any moment. That's the thing. You genuinely worry about what's going to happen. However, there is this thing in the film where he's got an Achilles heel, which makes him human. Obviously, we can't talk about it, but it's spoken about in the film, and you come about and you think, actually, what he's talking about here is actually pretty good and pretty interesting.
I liked the fact that he wasn't just doing things because, wahaha, I'm the baddie. Like you had in Thor: The Dark World, like you had in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's from Guardians of the Galaxy onwards we've had decent villains. I actually think that the baddie in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 actually holds up. Killmonger from Black Panther is the one where it is fully fledged. It is a fully fledged baddie. It says a lot about this film, like you say, with so many characters thrown into the mix, which you have to serve from the previous films so far. The fact that you had the Black Order, which held up as bad guys, as this army of the children of Thanos, two of which I absolutely hated. Punch, hated. But not because I hated them as performances. I hated them because they were baddies, and they were genuinely nasty pieces of work. The fact that you get quickly invested in that by the way that it's done, that says a lot. The fact that Peter Dinklage's character holds up, genius casting, by the way.
Genius.
That was just. Yeah, someone just turned around to Peter Dinklage and with a one-line pitch and just went, "This is what we want you to play. This is how we're going to shoot it. This is what you're going to be." He just went, "Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I'm in. That was fantastic. In terms of serving all the characters, there were some that weren't served as much as the rest. Do you think the right focus was put on the right cast? I open that up to a pair of you.
Yes, I think so. I think you've got characters in the Marvel Universe who are not lead characters at all, and yet they've had lead films. So I think that the right people have come to the forefront in this film, and I think they've deserved it fully, to be honest with you. I think that's what worked very nicely, is that those who, you know, they were kind of the comedic sidekicks or something like that. They're still in it. They're still a crucial part, but at the same time, they're not the be-all and end-all. I mean, I don't know. What do you think on that, Alyssa?
I agree. That it was well balanced, and that I also liked what happened with the Thor character. You know, I thought that how this all went through, it made emotional sense I think that that's what we're all struggling with here, is that with the baddies and the sidekicks and all of the characters, it all made sense to us on a gut level, which so often when movies are one-dimensional, they don't. And I think that they really hit it spot on. Leanne is agreeing. Peter Dinklage's was so good. Michael P. It says you have to watch it twice. The writing was fantastic.
Yes, I'm actually a little bit. You may have noticed I was moving around there for a second. My brother has just announced that they are now heading out to go and see Infinity War, which means I won't be able to go see them. Go see it with it. See them with it. Anyway, moving on.
Andrew Dickinson says hashtag Thanos isn't a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, there was a scene in the film which, well, number one, you have a returning character which came out of nowhere. Where the hell? Which was just stunningly well done. But that scene, for me, was the best scene in the film, because it absolutely made Thanos three-dimensional. It made him relatable. It gave a justification for what he was doing, even though you were just blown away by when he was doing it. I think the one character for myself that didn't get served spectacularly well was Star-Lord. Chris Pratt's character, if anything, because I felt that it was the Russo brothers trying to do a Star-Lord impression by doing some of the lines that he was doing, especially when they met up with Thor. I felt that there was some stuff in there which was possibly not quite right, and also I think.
I don't think he was untrue to the Star-Lord character. He's a bit of a peacock.
Okay. Fair enough. And I also felt that Captain America was Chris Hemsworth was possibly a little underserved. Possibly. A little bit. But then again, something's got to fall through the cracks. So
yeah. I thought it was I did think it was interesting that you had at one point you had two strong superhero females who didn't have superpowers fighting one of the bad guys, and I thought that was interesting. The blend of superheroes without superpowers with people with superheroes that have superpowers, I think is interesting, and how they interact and all. That was just kind of an aside that I saw that goes with Black Widow and Michonne, which character? Yeah. So I know that's the risk of spoilery there. Leanne D says Chris Hemsworth, his performance was fantastic. His range of comedic to emotional loss, I was blown away.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the non-superpowered, and that the at the end of the day, where they would actually sit when it comes to facing up against gods and monsters. Yeah. Let me put this question to the pair of you. I think this fact is out there now, and I think it was pretty much obvious from the marketing. Mark, Alyssa, did you miss Hawkeye at all?
Who's that?
Did you miss Hawkeye?
Who's that?
Fair enough. There you go.
Yeah, people seem to have a bee in their bonnet about this. Look, there's already, and I'm pretty sure I read this somewhere over the weekend, that there are 75 individual Marvel characters in this film alone. Look, they all can't be served, okay? They all can't have their cake and eat it. Somebody's going to have to drop by the wayside. That's happened to Hawkeye. I was hoping Ant-Man would be in there as well. You know, we now know that he's not. So, you know, we can't have everybody. As I said, otherwise it's just going to be a Royal Rumble, and it's just going to look messy. You know, thankfully this is not a messy film. but it could have been.
It is. It's like clockwork. It's really, it's been served in that regard. I think the question I want to put then to you two is, where does it sit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in terms of your preference to it? Has it changed your top 5, top 10? We'll go to Alyssa first. When you came out of this, where did you feel it sat?
I'm not sure. I want to watch it again. It definitely is in the top 5. I have to say, but it's in a very different class of movie as opposed to an origin movie. I mean, you have the origin of Thor and Black Panther, and those types of movies, the
standalones.
Yeah, the standalones, which are fit a very different niche. Then you have the Captain America Winter Soldier, which brings in so much in the early Avengers movies, and it's to my mind, in those ensemble movies, it's right up there.
Okay, Mark?
I've never done a list. I've never even thought about a list, to be honest with you. It's just, I go to be entertained. Was I entertained? Yes, I was very, very entertained. I will just point something out. Obviously, I want to tell you that story about the press screen in a moment, once you've obviously told your thing. But one thing I do want to say is a couple of negative things about it. There's too many locations. It jumps all over the place, and it's very difficult to grab a handle on what's actually happening where. Instead, you just go, okay, great, well, with Star and Tony Stark. So I felt there was too many locations. The other thing is, can't talk about it because it's a massive spoiler either. So I've got 3 problems, but we can't talk about the second. The third one is, I've seen loads and loads of people say it's an epic film. This is an epic film. It's not an epic film. It's not an epic film. I really don't think it is. Like David Lean made epic films. Cecil B. DeMille made epic films. This is a big film. This is a popcorn blockbusting film. It's not an epic film. Just because it is 2 hours, 24 minutes doesn't mean it's epic at all. There are very different types of films. So, if you're going thinking it's going to be epic, it's not. It's just massive. It's huge. As I said earlier, there is a lot of film to process.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. In terms of the way that it leaves stuff, the one thing that we will say, which is spoiler free, there is an end credits coda to this. We were in the cinema and we were watching the credits roll, and we were thinking, would the Russo brothers have the balls to not even put an end credits on? If there was no end credits to this film, would this film have actually broken a whole generation of Marvel fans? Because the way that it finishes, it's heart-wrenching. Without that end credit coda, you'd have been broken. Absolutely broken. So no, do stick around for the end credits, because there is something in there which does feed on.
This may be a spoiler, and if it is, don't answer me, okay? But I have a question, and if the answer is a spoiler, don't answer me, okay? What in the end credits? What is that symbol?
Right.
Okay. Right.
Is that a spoiler? Then people can okay, right. I'm going to say.
No, we'll talk about this because we won't talk about what actually happens in the end scene, because it does kind of feed into the rest of it, and there are some people in there that you want to see. I will just say this. I'll say 3 words. Okay. Symbol. Captain Marvel.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. Got it. Okay.
Right. It doesn't. I will say it doesn't reflect on the rest of the film. So yeah. Okay. We'll go
right. I just, it was, one of those things that I was just like, huh? And yeah, I will say I saw the movie with somebody who hadn't seen a lot of the MCU stuff prior to this. And my first question to her was, did it make sense? And she said it made sense. She had not seen the MCU stuff before, except for what I've drug her to. She's much more of a, anyway, different type, a movie person. Regardless, she said that she was obviously missing some stuff, but liked the movie in general. Thought the movie.
If you hadn't, you didn't have to see Black Panther, but if you hadn't seen Thor Ragnarok, you were buggered.
Well, yeah, they were. There was some obvious. There were some obvious things that the backstory was missing, but not so much. If you approach it from that they did a decent job within the film of explaining it to newer people.
Yeah,
is a point that I'm trying to make here.
That's fine. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to say this to Mark as well, because I want to see his reaction when I say it. Because when I saw the opening scene to Avengers Infinity War, I actually thought to myself, do you remember the opening credits to Alien 4? Is it Alien 4? No, Alien 3, sorry. When you had at the end of Aliens, you had Ripley, you had Newt, you had Hicks. They were all escaping from the events of Aliens. And in the first 3 minutes of Alien 3, you had Newt dead and you had Hicks dead. Am I wrong in thinking that's pretty much what happens at the beginning of Avengers? Especially if you've watched Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, but you can't hold deaths until the final 30 minutes. You've got to start bumping people off early. And the thing is, when they do something like that, it grabs your attention. Like, you don't just sit there and you're going, yeah, the film will start at, just getting the bits through at the minute. All of a sudden, when something like that happens, you go, what? Put the popcorn down, because all of a sudden the film has now started.
Yeah.
So it grabs you from...
I wasn't talking about specific characters. I was actually talking about Asgard, actually. Just to clarify.
Yeah, but it's still the same. There are things there in the first 10 or 15 minutes where you go, whoa.
It gets
straight
you
away,
straight off the first frame, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? The whole business of us being spoiler free, I think that's been thrown out the window.
Light spoilers.
Light spoilers.
We said in the beginning, and that's why I brought it up, because I knew that we were going to be able to. Since I believe everybody in the Q&A in our chat has seen the movie, and we have all seen the movie, so there's no way that we're going to be completely pristine with this.
Okay. The one thing I kind of want to head towards the wrapping up of this section is this. When we have had films which have made some serious bank, when we've had films which, for example, Black Panther, which has gone to number 2 in the all-time grossing, or is it still at number 3? I think he's gone to number 2. No, went to number 2. At the end of the day, it's a very affirming film. It's a very positive film. And I think that's what people embraced. And that's the reason why they went back. This is a traumatic film. It's a hard watch. It's emotional. But at the end of the day, it has topped The Force Awakens at $250 million for the highest box office weekend of all time. I think the question I want to ask is it because people are just going back for more because there is so much to see, or is it a case of people are just enjoying being kicked in the knackers?
I don't think it's that. I think it's much like Alyssa's friend there. She'd seen some Marvel films, and this had been billed as this is the end of a certain chapter. So all of these people who probably had only seen certain Marvel films are going to see it. Everybody who's watched all of the Marvel films are going to see it. So you have the casual viewer as well as the hardcore viewer. And that's a very difficult area to get, both of those. types of cinema goers. So that I think that's why it's done so well immediately. It will be interesting to see what the long tail effect is. Will it have the Black Panther long tail, or will it drop off quite quickly?
I think that's the question I was putting. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I mean, heaven knows I'm going to go see it again. When, I'm not entirely sure, but I will be going back for a second. Yeah,
I missed a lot. I need to see it a second time.
I'm down with that. Especially in Wakanda.
Yeah,
there was stuff there that I missed.
Michael P said a while ago in the chat that the Black Panther he felt was underserved.
What, generally as a film?
No,
the character.
In this movie.
Okay. Right.
In this movie. Sorry.
Okay. No, I'll go along with that.
Yeah.
But I think that's where the Russo brothers recognized Wakanda as a character. So the rest of the pantheon in Wakanda, the rest of the rest of the armies coming together. I think okay.
Cool.
But all in all, okay, out of 10, Alyssa.
9.5. 9.5.
You don't get stronger than that. Okay, fair enough. Well, you do. It's 10.
Yeah.
Mark.
I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to put a number on. This is the thing, because if you say 9, what is a 10? It's stuff like that. I will say that I think as I said, it's a hell of a film. It's a hell of a film. It's changed the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Do you think we can properly assess this film without seeing Avengers 4? It's the first part of a continuing story.
That's an interesting question. I mean, and I'll go back to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I mean, can you assess Two Towers without seeing? Can you assess Fellowship of the Ring without seeing Two Towers? And so I don't think that's a question that you can necessarily answer. And to Mark's point, to get a 10, I think it's a personal choice. What kind of movies do you find emotionally and satisfying? So it's do I want a little bit more interaction between the characters and character development? Maybe that's what why I didn't give it a full on 10. But it's so I think it's really a personal thing. You can't be film critic on a 1 to 10. You got to be personal on a 1 to 10.
Fair enough. Okay. Right. So is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about when it comes to Infinity War, just to wrap things up?
Yes.
Go for it.
I just want to say what happened. So we go to the press screening on Tuesday. We are queuing outside in the rain. We are given this badge. I don't know if you can you see this badge to see what it says?
Hang on. There you go.
Yeah, so it says #Thanos demands your silence. Everybody was given one of these. So there was about 1,000 given out or something like that. So everybody's got one of these. We walk into the screening room. There's a big sign on the screen from the Russo brothers that basically reads, "Don't give any spoilers out. Do not give any spoilers. Please let people, experience it the way you're going to experience it." Great, fantastic. You think, right, okay, great. Then before the film starts, now this is interesting because I don't know if just we got it or everybody else got this. We had a 90-second clip of some of the Marvel actors sat behind a chair being interrogated, and they were all sat there going, "No, I won't tell you. I won't tell you. No, not telling." So it flicked between all of them, and then at the end, it came up and it said, "No spoilers. Thanos demands your silence." Then after that, the sign came back up again from the Russo brothers to say, "No spoilers." It was like, yes, we get it.
We get it.
No spoilers. We get it. We get, it's fine. I mean, you're kind of talking to the wrong people anyway. I mean, if you're writing a review, you're not going to put spoilers in. But it was kind of interesting to see the lengths they had gone to make sure that nobody was going to spoil it. I mean, nobody was going to anyway, because I think most people were shocked as to what was going to happen. But it was kind of interesting to see what was happening. But I'm interested, did anybody else get this little Marvel clip?
Go for it, Alyssa.
No, Andrew Dickinson is saying that in the U.S., all of the phones were taken at the press screenings.
Fair enough. Mark, in reference to that clip, it was actually sent out virally about a day or so before the film came out.
Oh, okay.
So no, yeah, it's. I think you got it, and then it hit the net. So no, if you go to the various social media channels, you can find this clip. So there
it is quite funny. It's quite funny. I did enjoy it, I have to say. But yes, there was a lot of Thanos demands your silence hashtags going around.
Yes. Well, I did I was fully intending to do a spoiler-free Periscope after my screening, as we do with all the Marvel films. I ended up going on to Periscope for like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, just saying, yeah, we ain't doing one for this because anything we say is just going to ruin this film. I think my face said it all, to be honest. I looked like I'd been slapped around for 2.5 hours. I looked very broken by the end of that film.
And isn't that the sign of a good film, when you are so invested that you are taken on that emotional roller coaster, and that's why I gave it a 9, 9.5.
Fair enough.
Because it really does get us to buy in, and especially the Thanos character. Just he's a brilliant bad guy, which so often comic book movies don't have. Cabby Warrior says your compliance will be rewarded.
Yeah. All I can say to wrap this up from my own thing, I think, just as my own pocket review of Avengers Infinity War, this is going to be a long year.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a long
year. A reason. There's a reason why I brought up the Talkin series, because between those 3 films, it was horrendous, and this is right up there with it. I turned to my friend and said, just after I saw the movie, there is a second one next year, because she's like, what? What? I don't understand.
I don't know if did you catch that on social media? There were a couple of screenings where people basically, it gets to the end, we have the sequence, the basically the way that the film does end, goes to black screen, credits start rolling, and apparently for the majority of people that have been to see this film, the reaction's been very similar. Total silence as the audience is stunned, and then one person goes, "What the hell?" Just as they just, what just happened? I also quite like the meme. It's been my favorite meme, which is I don't know if everyone's been seeing pictures of Chadwick Boseman, who at the beginning of his promotion for Black Panther, he's like there doing, smiling away, happy that his film's out. And then sort of 3-4 months later, he's like going, do I have to? Okay, I'll do this again. And basically, the meme is before Infinity War, after Infinity War. Before, after. Broken. That's pretty much summed up Infinity War for me. It's an emotional ride. It's something else. Yeah.
I will say that I think that most people who watch who have read comics over the years know how reality gets reset on occasion. So there's a little less of that finality, fear of finality. For the longtime comic book reader. I'm gonna segue now into next week in television, if you don't mind. And all. So I heard Westworld returned last week. Did you guys watch it?
Yes, I did, and it was awesome.
Oh, good. There you go.
Okay, quick pocket review. Westworld. I mean, do you want to do it?
I wasn't necessarily saying you needed to do that, but you like.
Okay, I won't bother then. Fine. Mark, I mean, have you seen it?
I haven't. I have to say, I watched the first series and didn't enjoy it. So
there you go.
I'm not going
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
it's a lot of time jumping. Whereas before there were time jumps backwards and forwards, it was different time periods, but you didn't know. This one, you are told out of the gate that you are dealing with different time periods over the course of a 2-week period. But then you are kind of led down this rabbit hole of trying to piece it all together. I think it's pretty satisfying. It follows one character predominantly, and I think it holds up incredibly well. We're back. We're just back, and I'm personally thrilled. So there we go. I did enjoy Westworld.
I have to just jump back to Avengers there for a moment. Sir Lister of Smeg says, "Yep, they get to go on vacation for breathing for a bit." I just thought that was particularly funny. I have not seen Westworld yet. I'm taking a vacation from HBO and Netflix at this point. So many things to watch. We also got to see Handmaid's Tale last week. It came back, as did Into the Badlands, as well as The 100. So it's, it was an intense week. Ash versus Evil Dead. A lot of people are really kind of in mourning about that. I believe tonight is the last show of that. I'm not absolutely 100% sure. Little behind on my details, but I think that is happening. And Mark has vanished.
I know. I was just going to say, he said that he didn't like Westworld, but he obviously really didn't like Westworld. Okay.
I have to think he'll be coming back for a moment, because I did. There he is. Nice. Because I did send him a copy of this. Hopefully he'll join us with a few comments on it. So like I said, Ash versus Evil Dead ended
permanently.
Yeah, permanently. I guess, Homeland is the 7th season premiere of Homeland is happening tonight. An interesting thing is happening on The Simpsons. It is their 636th episode is airing tonight. And I think that's more episodes than Gunsmoke. So there are amazingly long-lived show there.
I didn't even know Gunsmoke had lasted that long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's one of those things. The series finale of Howard's End is also happening. There's 2 science shows. There's 2 history and science shows that I'm really looking forward to this week. James Cameron's Story of Science Fiction is going to be on Visionaries and happening. I believe it's on Monday. It is the first show, and I don't know. I know that there's been a lot of history of science fiction shows happening before, but I have to think with the cast and them talking about the Terminator, Aliens, Abyss, Judgment Day, Avatar, all of those kinds of things. I'm hoping that there'll be a deeper understanding there. The other show, science show, which is happening, is on Tesla. The Tesla Files. That's towards the end of the week. I believe it's on Friday night. The inventor, Nikola Tesla. And
I was about to say.
Yes. Sorry. Well, and if people don't, it's just kind of one of those things. If you're interested in some of the earlier science guys and how wacky they were for their, in their current situation, I like watching those kinds of things. I love the thing on Picasso that they're currently doing. I love the show on Einstein that the History Channel did a while ago. I love these earlier wacky people who are really people out of time. That's, Da Vinci, all of these people. The big show, science fiction show, which is returning this week that I am personally really looking forward to, is Colony. That comes back this week. I don't know if anybody else is following Colony, is a big Colony fan, but I love the aliens invade the Earth kind of scenarios. Those are I could watch bad TV, and that'll be like right up there with my bad TV. Not to say the Colony is bad TV, because it isn't, but you know. Okay, there you go. We
Mark,
got
sorry, just to I was going to say if we can also segue into what Mark's been watching. But go on, Alyssa. Do you want to wrap it? No.
He's like,
Carry on, Alyssa. Carry on. I'll think about what I've been watching.
Yeah, no worries. On Friday, we've got a couple of Amazon and Netflix shows dropping. One is Kong, King of the Apes. It's dropping its second series. But we've also got 2 Netflix movies, which might be of interest. One is called The Rain. It's 6 years after a brutal virus wiped out most of Scandinavian's population. 2 siblings join a band of young survivors to seek safety and answers. You know, pretty straightforward, apocalyptic kind of a show, but it might be interesting. It's a foreign film, so it will have a different take on things, which is what I enjoy about the foreign films. And there was one other show that I thought was kind of Anon, ANON, in a future where technology has rendered privacy obsolete. A detective investigates a serial assassin who has been deleted from all visual records. That's another one that sounded like it had an interesting premise. And if you're looking for something, if you need something to watch and you're looking for something on Netflix, you might want to catch either of those 2 shows, Anon or The Rain. That's pretty much it. There's the ongoing shows. Michael P. has mentioned, of course, The Expanse it's been a brilliant season. I've been hearing really good things. People are mourning the cancellation of Ash versus Evil Dead, A Designated Survivor, Colony. I'm just looking through the list.
Fair enough.
So, Mark, anything particularly that's catching your interest that you have to watch every week?
Silicon Valley, which is the best comedy show on TV at the moment, wherever you are in the world. I'm going to admit to something. I'm going to admit to something now. And there'll be this might I might have to hand in my nerd badge. I am watching every week Jersey Shore. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Because I was really addicted to it when it was on originally. It's nice that they're back. It is complete trash TV. I get it, but there was something about them, and it's nice that they're back. Don't at me. Don't at me.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Listen, we don't condemn anyone here. We're a broad umbrella. If you are a fan of something, you're a fan of something. It's something. Michael P. Sending your card in now, and that's a bit harsh. No, we're a broad. We're a broad umbrella. Broad umbrella, Mr. Into the Blue Mister, get out, point to the door. So listen, Meg, fired, you're fired. Scott, say what? Oh, good grief. Fine. Hey, listen, you know what? I'm going to jump back to something that people were saying earlier. You're talking about The Simpsons and talking about how long it had been running. And someone turned around and went, it should have been cancelled 400 episodes ago. I'm still a fan of The Simpsons. I still like The Simpsons. So,
Go home, you're drunk.
Go home, I'm drunk. Fair enough. But listen, I'm also going to jump in and back up Leanne D. Once again, hope you get well soon. I did see the message about how you hurt yourself. You silly soul. Silly sausage. What you like?
I missed that. So.
Oh, she did something silly. But there we go. Yes, we've all done that. She
Leonard's looking on ice recently. I mean,
absolutely. You see, we all do something stupid. She has turned around. So Legion, so good too. I remain a Legion fanatic and turn around and say I'm stunned that thing is on the air, because it is just the most bizarre and bonkers program on television, and it is just so good. So there you go. That's mine. What else? We've got Agresuko that people I watched. Was it yourself, Mark, that basically got told you have to watch it? It's like 15 minutes of animation joy, and you have to watch it. I did, and it's great.
I have to say, this does not ring a bell, but then at the same time, who knows? I might have said that to you. I can't remember now.
There we go. Okay.
What show is this?
It's Agretsuko, which is a animation that's on Netflix here in the UK. I believe it's in Netflix in the States. We keep getting it keeps getting mentioned. KV Warrior has mentioned it. Basically, this is it's a Japanese anime show, but with a little I can't remember what animal she is. It's a little desert fox. There you go, KV Warrior.
Yes.
She's a death metal singing red panda. That's it.
I heard about this during San Diego Comic Fest and said I've got to watch this one.
Yep.
Which kind of brings up an interesting point. What are we going to see? Wouldn't it be fun to see at San Diego Comic-Con this year a Netflix panel on all of their anime stuff that they've been putting out?
I think it'd be great to see a Netflix panel on anything they do. Because
they've been really, Netflix could have a panel on Marvel. They could have their Marvel franchises. They could have a panel on their anime franchises. I think that they're missing the boat here in promotion, because they're obviously putting a lot into their anime stuff by constantly getting all of these new properties, and they're not publicitizing. Yes, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So hopefully, maybe, powers that be.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm now bleeding for some reason, so I'm gonna be let's start wrapping things.
Move on.
Let's wrap things up. Okay. Right. We got plenty of people who are just jumping in, and I just want to say thank you very much to everybody who's jumped in on the Q&A. You have contributed to the show. It's been great. KV Warrior, who's just been saying Netflix anime has just been killing it, just loving it, and just loves the show. We've got Michael P, who has been waving the Expanse flag as always, but you know what? It stands up. This show, it's just been standing up.
He's suggesting that Netflix could take over Ballroom 20 on Sunday.
Could easily do that. Yeah, you know what? That I have no problem with at all. So
that would be fabulous.
Yeah,
just back to back.
Yeah, it's a room there doing nothing. Come on.
Yeah, they could just do episodes of anime. And with the kids being a kids' day, for up until like noon or 1 or 2, and then take over with their adult stuff. It'd be brilliant.
Be awesome. Right then, so we'd like to say thank you very much indeed for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's been a long show, but I think when we've added the Avengers in there, it was going to be a long one. The best of times. Mark looks like he's ready to collapse, so I think we're going to let him go first. Mark, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Hope you've enjoyed your time with us. Is there anything you would like to promote and let us know where you are and online?
Maybe a blog?
No. Yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Mark_Searby, website marksearby.com, obviously, you know, on Amazon and all the book retailers for the book and everything else like that. Also, I just want to say tomorrow night, if you're in the London area, I am introducing a screening of Scarface at the Regent Street Cinema. It is 35 years this year, so I'm going to be doing about 10 minutes talk on Scarface if you are around. Tickets are about £7, I think, something like that.
How are you going to sum up that film in 10 minutes? I don't know how the hell that's going to even be possible.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for about a week. I really don't know. I'm going to have somebody at the back telling me, right, can you wrap it up, please? So yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. Excellent stuff. Yeah. And people can find you at
Twitter, Mark_Searby, website marksearby.com. That's it, I think. Maybe.
Excellent stuff. Alyssa, where can people find you online?
My Twitter handle, it's at Friends of CCI. Personal handle is at Alyssa Franks. And you can always find me and the blog at the website friendsofcc.com.
Excellent stuff. For myself, you can find me on the social medias at Englishman SDCC. You can keep up to date with what we're getting up to on wherever we're out and about by going to anenglishmaninsandiego.com. I know I'm a little bit late in posting all of the coverage from the previous cons that we've going to, including Mark Berry's coverage of his shows, including San Diego Comic Fest, but he's uploaded all the videos. So if you go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/EnglishmanSDCC, you can catch the panels that he recorded, but I am going to create individual posts for those. So they're going to be coming up on the website in the next couple of days. I'm also going to be doing my recaps of ThamesCon and also of the Ice Margate show. And then next weekend, I am panel hosting at MCon Nottingham. So if you wanted to come along and join us for that, it's going to be a fun weekend. And yeah, looking forward to doing some more panel hosting. Hopefully as well, there's going to be some news on that in the next week or so. There's some more panel hosting that I could be doing. Fingers crossed. Just send positive vibes my way. You never know. It might come off. Might come off. And as always, please do support the Hangout. Allow us to keep the lights on, please, by heading to patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC. Speaking of which, I know that a bunch of people did join me as part of my efforts for the HWD Hospital Radio fundraising effort that we held 2 weeks ago. Thanks for watching live. I know it was mostly the Americans because I did my show at 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock in the morning. So yes, it was a bit of a late one, but listen, we got the final countdown of the final tally of our efforts, and we raised just shy of £1,500 to allow us to keep doing what we do at HWD. So I want to say thank you very much indeed to everyone who chipped in for my efforts. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Right. Do take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Like I say, we're going to be joined by Katrina Dennis, who's going to give us a recap of what has happened this weekend in the aftermath of the collapse of Universal FanCon. And like I say, I'm going to be reporting live from MCon in Nottingham. Do take care. Enjoy the rest of your week, and go and see Avengers again.
Absolutely.
Which is, I think, a given. So there we go. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye-bye, guys.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.